Let's look at Chapter 7 of Northhouse's book Leadership, Theory and Practice. Chapter 7 is on Leader-Member Exchange theory. And even though it has kind of a strange name, I think it's one of the most important theories there are because it emphasizes the relationships that a leader has with his or her followers. So leader-member exchange theory, or sometimes it's abbreviated LMX, and you'll see LMX all over the place. It focuses on the relationship between the leader and the follower, how they interact with each other. And this view of leadership views leadership as a process. It focuses on the interactions between a leader and the subordinates and the followers. Now, this is in contrast what we've been looking at in the other theories. Previously, we looked on the characteristics of the leader, the traits and the qualities and the skills of the leader. We looked at the characteristics of the follower and the characteristics of the context and the different situational leadership theories that we looked at. But now we're going to look at how the leader and the followers interact with each other. And this is really important. Now, the early studies of LMX were originally called vertical dyad linkage, VDLs. And you know what? The vocabulary in this is horrible. It is really strange. It was developed during the early 1970s, kind of like during the hippie movement and stuff, and there's a lot of weird things going on, and they've got some weird vocabulary for this. For example, the word member, all they mean by member in leader-member exchange means the follower. So it's really leader-member exchanges, or leader-member relationship that we're looking at. And the early studies focused on the leader's relationship to a work unit. Now, what do we mean by a work unit? We mean a follower, again, viewed as a series of vertical dyads. And that just means relationship. So here we have a leader, here we have a follower, and we've got some set of interactions, a dyadic relationship, or just a relationship between the leader and the follower. And with this leader has one set of relationships with follower A, another relationship with follower B, another with follower Z, all through all the different people that are the leader is trying to influence. He or she has a different relationship, and some of these relationships are high quality where there's a lot of trust. Others are low quality where there's not much trust or not much interaction. So we're looking at all of these different relationships when we analyze what's going on in leadership. Now, what happens is that there's some followers that the leader has a good relationship with. These are considered the in-group. There's a bunch of positive things happening with the in-group. But then there's some followers that the leader doesn't have a lot of positive things going on, and these are called the out-group. And these, because of these relationships, in the simplest form of this model, workers can either be considered the in-group, so that's followers with whom the leader has a high-quality relationship, trust, communication, respect, and commitment, and the out-group, followers with whom the leader has low-quality relationship. And so this is trying to describe what happens in a workplace. Now you might say this isn't fair, and no, it might not be fair, but it describes reality. Most of the time, there's some workers that the leader is closer to than others. So what are we supposed to do with these in-groups and these out-groups? Well, what LMX says is that there's good things that happen to that in-group, so we need to make sure everybody becomes part of that in-group if possible. So research has indicated that the in-group, those that have a good relationship with the follower, get more information, they can influence the leader more, they get more concern from the leader, and they work better. They're more dependable, they're more committed to the organization, and then they communicate more with the leader than the out-group does. The out-group is less close to the leader, and a lot of times they just come to work, do their job, and go home. And so it's really a lot better for everybody to have more people in the in group than in the out group. So the central idea of LMX is that the leader needs to make these high quality relationships. That's what leadership is all about, because these high quality leader-member exchanges result in less employee turnover, higher performance evaluation, general performance improvements in general, greater likelihood of promotion for the people that have a good relationship, greater organizational commitment, more attention and support from the leader. Things just go better in the organization when the leader has a good relationship with as many followers as possible. So we can say that leadership making leadership, being a leader, occurs when these high quality relationships between the leader and the follower are developed. Now, it doesn't all depend on the leader, because you can't have a good relationship with somebody that's closed to a good relationship, but an awful lot does depend on the leader. If the leader just wants to have a small group of favorites and pushes people to the out group, that's definitely going to be destructive. But if the leader can do everything that he or she can to have a high quality relationship with everybody, that's going to form a team that can really get the work done. So, how do you put into practice this LMX theory? What does it say? Well, first of all, it is prescriptive. It prescribes. It says what should happen. So leaders should nurture high quality exchanges with all subordinates. Work on getting everybody in the in group, not just a select few. And rather than concentrating on differences like, oh, this guy's a jerk, he doesn't have much potential, the leader needs to focus on ways to build trust and respect with all subordinates, with all followers, resulting in the entire work group becoming an in group. So it's prescriptive in describing what a leader should do to be effective, but it's also predictive from a worker's point of view. The quality of subordinates' interactions, the quality that a follower has with a leader, indicates the likelihood of their advancing in the organization. And so one of the keys to advancing in any organization is making sure you have a high quality relationship with your supervisor. And if you try everything you can and you just can't get that high quality relationship, that means you probably won't advance. And for that reason, a lot of people will say, ooh, I should change organizations. But if you do have that high quality relationship, that opens up lots of doors for advancement within the organization. So there's a lot of strengths to this LMX theory. It's the only leadership approach that makes the leader's relationship with the follower the centerpiece of the leadership process. It focuses on that relationship. It also points to the importance of positive communication in the leadership and everything that has to do with this process, the interaction. It emphasizes that. And there's a lot of solid research that indicates that healthy LMX, healthy relationships between leaders and followers leads to positive organizational outcomes. We know that this works. Now, there's a few critiques. On the surface, talking about these in groups and out groups, LMX appears unfair and discriminatory. Oh, leaders shouldn't have in groups and out groups. Well, it's just describing reality. And in reality, if you want to be a good leader, you need to make that in group as broad as you possibly can. Another limitation is that the accurate measurement of the quality of leadership member exchanges is often questioned. It's not clear exactly how you measure that quality, what the best way to do it is. A lot of times you just ask workers, what's the quality of the relationship that you have with your supervisor, and you can get a pretty accurate response. But for knowing exactly what's causing that, we're not sure how to measure that exactly. Now, I teach at Azusa Pacific University, which is a university where we're committed to following Jesus Christ. And so we like making a link between these concepts and biblical concepts. And this question of LMX, what characterizes good relationships between leaders and followers, is a super important question from a Christian point of view. And I think we can respond with the idea of love. There's a really famous passage in 1 Corinthians 13 that talks about love, and it's kind of a beautiful passage. A lot of times it's used in weddings to describe the type of love that should exist between a husband and wife, but I think it describes the type of love, the type of relationship that we should have in work situations also. It says, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres."